Hey guys, I just wanted to give you a quick summary. I found an article on it on what it means and how the actual jury process works. I just Googled the article. You would have the same opportunity. So it talks about starting right here, the summons and the first appearance at the courthouse. So what happens if you're called for jury duty? A jury, what they do is they decide guilt or innocence for somebody that's accused of a crime. Um, and it's usually, depending on the size of the jury, could be 12, and it can be 6. It's very typically a even number of jurors. So what happens? I'll kind of explain it and then explain what happens in North Dakota. But it says you have a summons and the first appearance at the courthouse. Even before that, you'll receive a letter in the mail that says that you are on call for jury duty. Basically, you're selected out of a pool of people, depending on if it's a local jury, or even up to like a federal jury. So, like if it's a local jury, it would be people in this judicial district. We'd go to Ellendale. Or if it's like federal court, you'd go all the way to Fargo. So you have a larger pool to pick from then. You're on notice that you're on jury. You could possibly be called for jury duty. It's usually a 2-year term. And from there, if you are called for jury duty, you would receive a jury summons. And what the summons says is it summonses you to say, on this date, you have to appear for jury duty. And when you receive that, you usually receive that about a month in advance. And what you have to do is you have to, in North Dakota, call in. You call in to this number that they give you, and basically what it says is either your trial is canceled because the two opposing sides have settled, meaning they have came up with a solution without a jury, or they'll tell you that jury could be canceled, meaning like they moved the trial to a different day, or they could tell you that that you have to appear at this certain time, the day of the trial. So in your initial appearance, it really depends on the day. It depends on what kind of trials are going to be that day, and so on and so forth. So from there, what happens is you go in and you are, they check you for weapons, etc., and you're put into a room, or if you go, say, locally to Ellendale, they just use the courtroom, and they introduce you to who the lawyers are. They introduce you to what your rights and your duties are as a juror, and basically it's a lot of boring stuff until it gets to the jury selection process. So what happens is the lawyers will call a certain number of people up, say 6 or 7 people, and they'll ask that is there anybody that physically is unable to serve on a jury, because of, let's say, you are deaf or you're blind, or you have this physical limitation that wouldn't allow you to serve on a jury. And if you have that limitation, a lot of the times they excuse you. They don't have to, but a lot of the times they will. Then what you do is they ask you certain questions. They can call out any juror they want, so they could say my name. They could say a group of 5 jurors. They could say all the jurors. Do you believe in this? Do you believe in this? And they ask you questions to figure out their jury. The person who picks the jury is the defense lawyer. The person who picks the jury is the person defending the accused, the person that supposedly committed the crime. So depending on how many jurors they need, they can excuse you for any reason. They might not like what you said. They might like what you said, but figure that you heard about the case before, or something like that. They can pick you, or they can dismiss you for any different reason. Once the jury is selected, you have to take this oath of truth. Basically, anything that you hear or see, you're telling the truth in your questioning, if you are questioned as a juror, if they want to select you, or you're giving a fair decision, your unbiased decision. So you have to take this oath. They also read you your rights. They read the accused their rights, and then you go from there. So once the trial gets going, what happens is they come in, and the one lawyer will argue for the accused, the person that supposedly committed the crime, and one lawyer will argue against it. And you take that process and you decide the guilt or innocence of the person. If the person's guilty, typically you have to have all jurors, all 12 or 6, thinking that this person is guilty. In some cases, if it's not like that, if you don't have a unanimous decision between all the jurors, then it's called a hung jury. It basically means that if you can't come to a decision, this person is set free. So all 12 jurors have to decide guilt. For innocence, it could be just a hung jury, or you could decide innocence where everybody thinks they're innocent. Then that person is set free. You can't be tried for that crime again. If it's a hung jury, you can try that person again. You can try them for that crime. So let's say person A murders person B, but there's not enough evidence to prove it, and it's a hung jury. That person A could be tried again for the crime. If he's found innocent, he cannot be tried for that crime again, even if he walks out of the courtroom saying, I suckered you guys and you did it, or I did it. So you also, if you're serving on a jury, you get paid for your time. I don't remember the exact figure. You also typically, if you say are part of a big trial and it's a multi-day trial, you're put up in a hotel room wherever you're at, especially like if you're in Fargo. I have my mother-in-law actually was part of a trial that lasted almost a month, and she was put up in a hotel in Fargo. Nobody knows where you're at, and they try to keep you protected because you're serving the government at that time. You are not able to be fired because you're serving jury duty. You cannot be fired from a job. They might not pay you, but you cannot be fired specifically because of jury duty. And there's other parts of being on a jury that may happen in a bigger trial. Say you're in a trial that has some pretty gruesome stuff. They may offer you free psychological services. They might offer you extra compensation because of it. So that's just a quick summary of what it's like to be on a jury. If you would like, the article is posted right here. Just type it into your browser. This overview is pretty good, and I would recommend that you read it. All right, thank you.